How many times has he been to jail?
Man, twice, 3 times?
Twice?
Actually,
Two, three
Boulder,
times?
Boulder, Vale, and Littleton. I was a younger
Okay.
man.
All right.
I mean, not jail, like
I love
local
it.
jail. I've
Local.
not done
Well,
any
we're
hard
not
time. I have
judging.
not done.
Welcome to Power Lunch. I'm going to hang out with a very special person today, founding member of Good Business Colorado, the Burrito King, community builder, president, founder, and CEO of Illegal Pete's, and Lunchbox Top 30 Hottest Restaurant Brand 2023 winner, Pete Turner. How you doing, Pete?
Great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. I was looking at your website. That's a sick site. Like the cursor, the details, the rock and roll feel. It's so much is happening and it's all playing a symphony together so well. I just gotta first say, as a fellow website aficionado, I just love it. I think your website's dope. No question there. This website is dope.
Appreciate that.
Well, how involved were you on the website?
Extremely involved. So the 2020 was our 25th anniversary. I've been doing this for 28 years.
How are you doing this for 28 years and you look like 28, 29? I don't, it doesn't add up.
But dude, look at all this white, man. It's all good, dude. I'm silverback right now. But no, so yeah, I was 23 when I signed the lease, 24 when I opened the first restaurant. But so next week we're 28 years old. But to celebrate our 25th anniversary, we did a full rebrand, and part of that, so we branded our logo, design, did a full website, everything else. That was obviously kind of the pandemic, so everybody had different plans for 2020. That was one of our big ones. So we actually launched the website, I think, in 2021. But thank you very much. We did the full rebrand, and through the pain and darkness of COVID, man.
We got to talk about that. I can't imagine how making a new brand or upgrading it might have been some solace in all of this crap that we have to deal with as operators for you. So I want to go through that journey as well. But first, let's go to the 23-year-old Pete. All right, it's 1995. You're opening the first location. You're 23, Boulder, Colorado. How does a 23-year-old open a restaurant? How does that happen?
Born and raised in Denver. My mom was partner in a restaurant, so I worked in restaurants growing up. Boulder's a really interesting place. You get a lot of people from the coast. You get California and New York City, right? My group of friends, a lot of them were from the Bay Area. So this is 1989 through 1993, and that's kind of where the Mission District, where the big burrito thing originated. Been going on for, I don't know, since the 70s, I think, in San Francisco. So my good friends would talk about this type of food when I was in Boulder, and I'd go back to visit. Really more kind of the fringe, Mill Valley across the bay was where I first had the burritos, and then went to the district from 89, 93, and I was like, holy crap. If this type of food existed in Boulder, I'd be eating it once or twice a week. And so thought about it throughout college, graduated in 93 and started pursuing it. At that point, Chez Jose had opened up, La Salsa, and then Chipotle opened up, right? So it became very clear, yes, there's something here, right? And so I started pursuing that in Boulder, Colorado, where again, I thought I knew exactly where I would have, wanted it had I been a student at CU. And so kind of pursued it, found a location, signed the lease February of 1995 and opened August 15th of 1995. So it was more about the food and the type of atmosphere that I wanted to have. We wanted to kind of be punk rock, hip hop, and what a 24-year-old was into at the time. And it was a lot of fun and made a ton of mistakes. We opened in 600 square feet, 8 seats, and have grown to our average unit's about 3,200 square feet. But
wow,
it's been a journey, man.
That's amazing. There's so many pieces to unpack, and we're going to touch on all of it a little bit. You talked about your mom. Tell us about your dad. You named the company after Pete Turner Sr. Would love to hear about Pete Turner Sr. Would love to hear about how you came about with the name. I think it's a sick name.
My dad passed away in actually 1997. So my dad was terminally ill with cancer.
Just 2 years after.
2 years, actually. So he lived to see the second anniversary of Illegal Pete's, and then he passed away a week and a half later. But so my father, my freshman year at CU, was diagnosed with terminal non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was in really good shape. He was 49 years old, fought. Thank God, because without his sort of support and moral support, I don't know where I'd be right now. So when I graduated and pursued Illegal Pete's, he was the one that, kind of believed in me and co-signed the loan, got the financing. And I'm Pete Turner the second, so he's Pete the first. So he's my first partner. He never was able to work in the restaurant, but he's my moral support. So I'm in Boulder. I'd call him multiple times a day, see him often, come down to Denver, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. But yeah, he was also the spirit behind the name Illegal Pete's. I grew up hearing stories about my dad. It kind of caused me to sort of push limits a little bit as well. And it was a name that kind of honoring him, honoring myself. The spirit of it felt right. And I thought it was fun, mysterious, a little punk rock. And it's my name. And it's my dad's name. So
I've had so many folks over. I think this is the best naming story and very inspired by that story. How many times has he been to jail?
Man, three times.
Twice,
Actually,
two or three times.
Boulder, Vale, and Littleton. I was a younger man.
All right,
I mean, not jail, like
I love
local
it.
jail. I've
Local.
not done any
Well, we're
hard
not
time. I've
judging.
not done any hard time. But yeah,
Okay, got it.
yep.
Awesome. I gotta ask you this. You've talked about music already, a couple of times. Who are some of the musicians that you try to bring into this, right? Like for when we were designing our brand, I don't know if you looked at our website ever.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We were trying to bring in a lot of hip hop and a lot of tattoo artists, and especially Sailor Jerry tattoos, and a lot of just Queens hip hop, right? Nas and others. Who are the artists you were bringing in when you said, "Hey, here's the rebrand we're doing. These are the people I love"?
Again, year one, 1995, we're listening to old De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang just came out. Like, all of that was back then. And then old, like, punk rock, like Operation IV. We'd listen to Descendants, like Biggie, Nas, like Illmatic is one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time. I think that was 94, but that had just come out. So we're just bumping that, and it was so much fun. So we would play that all the time. And in so doing, right, over the years, we'd go see the shows, and then these artists would come through, and we would feed them, right? Because we were on the hill in Boulder, Colorado. We had the Fox Theater, we had Tulagis. We became really highly involved with music and bands. We have a program and a half for, 15 years now called Starving Artists that was informally way back when, where we'll feed any national or international band and their crew for free. But that kind of developed because we were all fans, and there's so many people that worked at Pete's that were musicians and continue to be musicians and have gone on to fame. Early 2000s, Jack Johnson was a guy that would roll through, and Jack.
No way.
Well, yeah, he would roll through on the hill when he was playing Tulagis, and we'd feed him for free, dude, when he was coming up, because he's a surfer. And then pretty soon he's wearing Illegal Pete stuff on stage, and people are like, what is going on? And he dropped our name in like Elle magazine or something. So that's pretty cool. And then we get like the Beastie Boys rolled through, like.
I love the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, dude. And then we've had this band Lucero's played Pete's a bunch of times. Shaky Graves, like Nathaniel Rateliff, who is a buddy of ours, a local Denver guy who's gotten huge. He just released his first record, so that show was fun. It was a public show. We almost sold it out, but the first 15 rows was all current and past Illegal Pete's employees. Got 2 tickets, and then we had like 600 people side stage. I don't know how they let us do all this, but music has always been a big part of who we are. And we have a record label called Greater Than Collective. We put out a bunch of records that, again, mostly just trying to help our homies, like local folks, just get out. So anyway, that's funny. You asked the question, how did music come about? It's just always been part of our DNA.
That's amazing. And by the way, you named 2 groups from Queens, Nas.
I know.
And then Tribe Called Quest.
Right, dude.
You might be a Queens guy stuck in Denver.
Dude,
we've seen that before.
I love it. Queensbridge.
I love that. That's amazing. I grew up near Queensbridge. I ran to Queensbridge every day. I grew up in the projects since I've been an immigrant since 15 and then worked my way up. But I grew up right next to where Nas is. And, he wasn't such an inspiration when you grow up in projects in Queens. It's like, wait. And he's, by the way, one of our investors.
He is?
He is. Nas.
No.
He's one of our investors. I'm not kidding. It's
Dude, that's
true
amazing.
Story. It's amazing. He's, by the way, an incredible investor. He's like a secret Jedi, incredible investor. He's an investor in Coinbase and this and that. So to have that guy full circle, it was like amazing.
He was touring on like 3 or 4 years ago. It was just amazing. His old like youth growing up there. Wow. Dude,
yeah. I took pictures next to the housing projects.
Investor?
Dude, that's my, if we don't make it, that is my on
that
my
is baller, dude. You've made it. That's it.
Yes. Everything else now is
shop,
credit. I love it. Hey, now this amazing program you're doing, the Starving Artist program. When you put this out there, were you like, 20% of the band members are on drugs. They're not going to be hungry. We don't have to feed them. It's the 80% we need to go after. A little bit, you were thinking about it a little bit. Yes, a little bit. Just more, a little bit. The more successful they are.
It's just like we got it right. Like we're friends with all these people. It's not easy, right? And plus, you want dudes coming through. It's super fun. Like they're typically guys, gals, people, they're just out there getting after it, man. They're following their dream. They're typically awesome, really gracious. They're fun. So really it just felt like the right thing to do. And also part of the thinking, although we haven't been super formal about this because we haven't grown like a lot of the other brands you have on here, but I was also thinking because we fed, I don't know, 5,000 bands at this point. But Jesus. There was also probably more than that actually. But part of the thinking is if we go to Phoenix, which we did grow, that we've got a database of bands that we can draw on. When we open, hey, do you want to play the show? Do you want to work there? Do you want to like tell your homies about us? So there was sort of a marketing angle to that we had never really pushed. But yeah, it just all the way around like a really good deal. And especially quickly in the age of social media, it makes sense, right? Just give us a shot. It's good.
You said we didn't grow as much as other brands on your list. I think what we were trying to do is honor the best brands, the cult favorite, the local favorite, has multiple unit but is a neighborhood joint, and that's what you guys are. Like you guys are so loved by your community.
Thank
You
you.
have a cult following, and I think that's winning. Opening 1,000 burger joint and no one is happy with the burger. You know who I'm talking about is not a sustainable brand. I think what you guys are doing is what all of us need to strive to do because it's really hard building great brands, and you've certainly built that and a great community and a great following.
I appreciate you saying that. I really do. I do. It's an honor to be a part of it. I'm just acknowledging that, right? And we've got 12 restaurants. We got 4 in the decks right now. We got 2 major remodels. So we are starting to really rethink about growth post-COVID. But I want to acknowledge, again, just very honored to be on the list. I'm up there with some heavy hitters. So thank you.
Absolutely. One of the things we tried to spotlight among the top 30 hottest brand is people who are changing the industry or creating a playbook for the industry, writing it for the first time. Who out there you think is impressive from your point of view? Other restaurant groups, you're like, oh, I like what they're doing. I think that's fun.
I think the And Pizza guy, like I follow them. I don't know their brand.
Lastoria?
Yeah,
He's an investor here too.
Is he? Damn.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Because I think he's very like-minded. We did our living wage initiative in 2015, ended it in 2019, which kind of put us ahead of the curve. So he seemed to be very like-minded that way. So I admire that.
He fights for the $15 minimum wage as well. You guys have been fighting for living wage as well. You guys don't know each other? You have to meet. I'll introduce you guys after this.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, he's great.
The folks that are being really cutting edge in that space are the brands that stand out to me because I think we have an opportunity to really influence the industry, to be better employers, to be better community. And I guess that's kind of a lot of what you're talking about here, how we engage in the community. I mean, I think that we can be great leaders. We employ part of the living wage work I did in 2015 to 19. I didn't realize that this industry employs 1 out of 9 people in America. You touch so many people, right? So the companies that are doing that and really using their reach to make an impact there, I have great admiration for it, and I think he's definitely one of them. So
Lastoria cares about living wage because he grew up not so rich, grew up super poor upstate New York, and had a really tough life and made it out there. So he really understands how much a dollar can go, right? How much a dollar can stretch, and the importance of the next paycheck. And so that's why he is fighting for minimum wage, and he's in DC. He has a lot of restaurants there, and he can make a change and be a voice for change. What is your reason? Why do you think you are investing so much time here in being a great employer?
Because these are my peers, man. Like I said, I was 23 when I started it, or 24, I guess, when I opened, but I was working with like the people that became my very best friends, right? And so it almost like, I didn't really realize it to begin with. My experience became such that like when we found success, I was like, man, these are like good friends of mine that are still like the best man in my wedding. That was kind of it. I was like, man, when I'm finding success, I'm working with these people that side to side, we're basically shoulder to shoulder. They're my age, they're my peers, they work hard. Granted, I'm taking, bigger risk, I guess, opening the business, but that was part of it. And then just kind of seeing reality of how it's hard to live in this country without a living wage. I mean, seeing our industry, and again, didn't realize that I would make some people angry when I was doing this stuff, the living wage stuff, talking about it in 2015, 16, 17, because people were like, that's the model that we have is we have to pay these wages. I'm like, I don't really think so. But like seeing people have to work 2 to 3 jobs to even live, support a family just didn't sit well with me. That's not the country that I want. And I wanted my employees and my coworkers to be able to spend their time off. First of all, have time off, and then have money to spend in my restaurants and my, the restaurants that I care about, my community. So again, I think it occurred naturally because of the people that I work with and I continue to work with. And so I care a lot about the opportunities I've been given in this country. And I think that we have an opportunity to bring those up around us.
I love that. I absolutely am inspired by that. And you were the founding member of Good Business Colorado.
Yeah. And that came on the heels of the minimum wage vote in 2016. Where
I saw you in a picture in a dress shirt too.
Yeah, man.
I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, he's wearing a shirt. Like, how did he find this?
Yeah, shirt? I've testified to Congress. I sat on a state board, the Secure Savings, basically the state-run IRA sort of thing that we passed. So I was on the board for that. So yeah, I wore shirts, like collared shirts then, and I've worn it. I can look pretty good. In fact, for the first maybe 1 month of Illegal Pete's, I thought I had to wear collared shirts and stuff. And my friends are like, "What are you doing, dude?" I thought I had to look like a manager. They're like, "No, man." For 1 month at Pete's, I was wearing collared shirts. Anyway.
And you were
You look
20.
good. I mean, I'm talking, you're real button.
I wear,
No, that's
I
tight,
wear, I
dude.
no, no, this is a shirt. This is a polo. I
That's
wear a
tight.
collar because we do enterprise customers, so I
No,
have to
that's
do
a
a
good
collar. I
looking
always do a
shirt. No,
collar.
that's sharp. I'm just saying,
Thank you.
you're
Thank you. J. Crew. J. Crew.
pure button up, like nice, like Brooks Brothers type.
Yeah. I gotta ask you something. Tell me if I'm wrong. Very much, dining in, very much live bands, comedy shows, community effort, all like in here. Everyone come here. We're gonna show you a great time. We're gonna feed you great food, and we're gonna have some great music. COVID comes. What's happening? What's going through your mind? What's going through the business? Take us through that.
I don't know how you saw it coming, but I was paying attention to China, to Europe. I was like, man, this doesn't.
So you heard it before March, because it hit me when it hit everyone
No,
else in
man,
March.
like January, like, yeah,
So you're early.
yeah, I was early. I was ahead of it, man. I'm not a conservative guy. I'm usually like very hopeful, but I saw that coming. I was like kind of freaking out and like talking to people in the industry, and I was kind of like, yeah, I was a little bit ahead of it. And little like friends had just got back from like Italy, and like Rome was empty. I'm like, man, feels like a weird movie or something. So I was a little like nervous Nelly before it, and then when it hit, we closed down. First things first was just keep people safe, right? So that's what we did. We all went on unemployment. So I furloughed everybody, which a lot of businesses did. And then we reopened. It just leaned really, really hard, Nabil, on safety. I look back on, I think I did the right thing. I just did them really poorly. Like I tried to make the decisions for the company purely around safety. And we kind of overdid it. And we almost got to a point where like I was scaring my team almost, like, man, just trying to be too safe. But it was just a heavy burden to be employing the public, serving the public. Yeah, our vibe completely changed overnight. So not that everybody's didn't, but we were, welcoming, dude. Let's all mingle. Let's all like have fun. Let's sit at a bar together, right?
It got very cold.
Yeah,
very quickly.
man. Which you can't really get around, but I think I went a little too much. But it was for the right reasons. I was trying to keep it.
But imagine you did the opposite. Imagine you did not go enough. Like that's a bigger regret than the one you're feeling right now. I don't think anyone got it right.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. And so I can look back and check myself. And it's really like leaning on values. And that was a dark time. Like that was our 25th anniversary. So I went from planning a 25-year party celebration to like, oh shit, am I even going to survive? Truly. Remember that? Like really, it was existential. So made it through that. The government programs came through. That was amazing work, but it's just basically like checking your values. What's important to you? Keep people safe, do the right thing. How interesting was it that it validated sort of the living wage piece, that overnight we are essential. We are keeping this economy, the world running. People in retail are really the only contact people we're having with people. We're keeping people fed. So again, we played a very important role, but it was so hard on our people too, right? People were like, at first, everybody was super gracious and then they got really mean. So man, our teams went through hell. And I just want to acknowledge that. Like they went to battle for us, man, for their neighbors, for their communities, and we made it through. So it made me think, what is important? What are our values, in community? So as we're coming out of COVID, I'm just rethinking everything. And again, what a great opportunity that we'll never hopefully have again, to where the world stops and you can take what's leading us now are still, celebration, connection, having fun. But I'm just trying to be a cleaner, safer, better brand. And I want to mention one other brand that I really admire, and he's out of New York too, Sean Meenan in Cafe Habana. Yeah, and he's doing really cool stuff around sustainability. So that's kind of where my head has been too. Like we've done kind of living wage. We're going to keep pushing that. But when I say cleaner, safer, better, how do we better employ? We're rethinking how we build our buildings. And also the end of 2021 in Boulder, Colorado, 1,000 homes burned. Sorry, I'm getting a little heavy now, but like it's been a couple years, dude.
I don't think people understand how many stuff you have to deal with or operators have to deal with. So it's not heavy at all. It's your life. You have to live it.
So that made me, as I was thinking, like, man, also coming out of COVID, nothing matters except for what matters, our values, right? Nothing's sacred in my business. Not that we'd not serve burritos. Obviously, we're going to keep doing that. But I was like, man, nothing really matters. Let's rethink everything, dude. So, and then just seeing what was going on in the world. And I mentioned Boulder, Colorado, because that's where our first restaurant was. But 1,000 homes burned on December 30th of 2021, which is crazy to me. So, like, there's this whole, like, climate issue. So that's what I'm saying. I'm getting heavy. So that's like, it made me do a hard shift to innovation. And we're going, our newest first ground up restaurant is all electric and we're powering the whole thing on site. Our entire rooftop is 170 kilowatt solar array. I did a whole ass shift. We're still gonna have fun. We're gonna have a blast, but we're like deep into like what's next in innovation and kitchen technology. We shrunk our cook line, and you asked like what happened in COVID, and I'm giving my head went like super dark, safe, and then almost like, oh shit, nothing matters, man. Every day's a gift. Honestly, what like I realized, dude, 25 years, like, oh, I feel pretty good, man. I think I know what I'm doing. Then the world stops, and you're like, man, you don't know shit, which is kind of nice. It's sort of humbling if you're cool with that. Don't fight against it. Be like, all right, cool. What lesson can I learn today? What can I learn tomorrow? So that's where I was like, man, we're on a really interesting trajectory right now. So that's what I took from COVID. That was a whole lot.
I'm gonna clip that and send it back to you, because what I hear on my side of the table, I'm just like having a hard time sitting down at this chair because I'm so like excited and energized for you. It's been hard for everybody to watch someone reinvent themselves. Think about the David Bowies of the world, the Michael Jacksons of the world, all these great artists we love that reinvent themselves over decade after decade. I think you guys are doing that, man. This is your third act. Like, not because of COVID, in spite of COVID. In spite of COVID, you're like, you know what? We're going to redo the way we have fun. We're going to redo the way we have built our restaurants. We're going to redo all of these things. And this is our third act. So I am sad that hard things are coming your way, but I'm so happy that to watch someone who just deals with them in so much fucking grit, you know? So I'm pumped for you.
You're absolutely hearing it correctly. That's great, man. Again, it was super dark, man, 2.5 years ago, but I come out completely re-energized and refocused. I'm glad you're hearing that. It's been wild. I never would have thought that. You know, obviously 2 years ago, never ever. And a year ago, I was like, man, this hard pivot, or a year and a half ago, is like the road, the path. I'm like, man, just eyes open, and where the decisions, the values drive me to making these decisions, like this path we began a year and a half ago. I wouldn't have told you that, but it's really cool. But it's also risky too. But so I'll let you know, we're in with the city. We're doing a pilot program in the city of Denver. First all electric, full on electrified kitchen, ground up. So you'll see next summer. But yeah, it's cool, man.
It's fun. All I ask of you is never change and continue being that rebellious 23, 24-year-old kid who is trying to emulate his father. I think you're doing that, and you're doing it so well, and you're honoring so many different memories. So keep crushing it, man. This is one of the best talk I've had. I genuinely mean that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been
Thank you.
It's been fun talking to you.